Hello everyone, my name is Geofani and with my friend Merlina, we are going to tell you the story of Don Rodrigo, the last king of the gods. First, before we begin our hero's journey, let me tell you something about the gods. Who were they? And why were they important? The gods were one of many tribes of Germanic people who came from southern Scandinavia, according to other sources, from the east bank of the Vistula River. They used to plunder Roman border territories in ancient times. Later, having fled from the invasion of the Huns from the east, they reached the territory of the Roman Empire. Some of them were recruited into the Roman legions, or with the other words, became Romanized and went on to be effective fighting force in the army. Together, the Goths and Ostrogoths, a nation of Germanic peoples, ruled over several domains that had been belonged to the Romans after the fall of the empire. How did their story continue? We will see. The Visigoths separated from the Ostrogoths in the 4th century, raided Roman territories repeatedly, and established great kingdoms in Gaul and Spain. In 410 Anno Domini, the Suevi and the Vandals, other Germanic tribes, entered the Iberian Peninsula to escape the Huns, which is nations from Asia. These were followed by the Visigoths from Gaul. In 416, Visigothic soldiers arrived, having been summoned as allies by the Romans to reimpose Roman authorities on the earlier Germanic invaders. 2 years later, the soldiers were recalled to the south of France, where the Visigoths had by now established their capital in Toulouse. Roman authority over the Visigoths was now tenuous. The Visigoths had already sacked the imperial city in 410, and they expanded westward into southern France and eventually into Hispania. When the Roman Empire collapsed in 418, the Visigoths took over it by establishing their own kingdom under King Walia. At that time, the main power of the Visigothic Empire was still in France. From the beginning of the 6th century to the early years of the 8th, the Visigoths dominated the peninsula. At the end of the 7th century, the Visigothic Empire experienced an era of crisis when King Wamba attempted to reform the government bureaucracy. In addition, the kingdom's internal problems arose because of the power struggle between Rodrigo and Betica, which escalated after the death of King Witiza. The Witiza family planned to thwart Rodrigo's ambition to become king by enlisting help from the Muslims of North Africa. Muslim troops, led by Tariq bin Ziyad from Morocco, attacked Spain. This Islamic incursion succeeded in eliminating the Visigothic Empire in 711 after Rodrigo got killed. Rodrigo was the son of Theudefrid, a grandson of King Kindaswin, who became one of the many victims of Witiza tyranny. The cruel king had put out his eyes and thrown him into prison, where he died. To revenge his father's fate, Rodrigo raised a rebellion, says Witiza, and having first blinded him, put him to death. Rodrigo was then crowned king, but Witiza's 2 sons swore to avenge their father and regain their inheritance.
Their opportunity might have been long in coming if Rodrigo had not met a more powerful enemy in Count Julian, who is the late King Reino had distinguished himself for a brave defense of Sejarah, the Gothic fortress in Africa that had not fallen into the hands of Saracens Julian. Although the kinsmen of Witiza had quietly accepted Rodrigo's usurpation, and had continued to fight bravely and successfully against the Moors. But when he heard that the new king had dishonored his daughter, the beautiful Florinda, he resolved to revenge his own wrongs by the betrayal of his country. He sought an interview with Mohammedan chief Musa, and they counseled him to undertake the consequence of Spain. The success of an undertaking, he said, only too truly was certain, for the Goths as well as the Hispanians had the usurper and would desert his standard when the conflict would come. That and the end of Rodrigo's rules. Eventually, the Muslims started to expand their domains to Iberia, and in 711, Dom Rodrigo was killed at the Battle of Guadalete in an attempt to repel Muslim forces out from Hispania. The Muslims were coming to Iberia when Rodrigo and his big force were suppressing the rebellion in the northern region. Therefore, this force was already exhausted and had low morale when facing the raid, which contributed to the fall of the Visigothic kingdom. Rodrigo's death therefore ended the Germany rule over the Iberian Peninsula, and the Gothic kingdom was no longer a formidable force in Hispania. The aftermath. This fall marked the rise of Islamic rule in Iberia, who then, after a victory in Guadalete, were able to conquer nearly of Iberia in a short time, from 711 to 718. However, although most Visigothic nobles were killed, some of them managed to escape and fled to the mountainous region of the Austrians. They would then start what we call today as Reconquista.